Welcome back to the SkiBallin Show podcast. It's week 6. We're going into our season predictions right back again. This is after free agency, so things are kind of going to change based on the changes that were made in free agency frenzy. So without further ado, let's go into the predictions. We are going to go to the other side of the conferences, to the NFC, and we're going to focus on the NFC West in this week's show. So we're going to start off with kind of the bottom team that was last year with the Arizona Cardinals. So the Arizona Cardinals, again, this is still before the schedule comes out, so this is only their opponents. I kind of made a mock schedule for all these teams in the division. So for the Cardinals, I have them starting off week 1 against the San Francisco 49ers. They're an NFC West rival. I believe the Cardinals as a team kind of got a little bit better in free agency. Nothing too crazy, though. They signed a couple linemen, and they got some defensive help in Terrell Suggs and Jordan Hicks. And they also got a receiver in Kevin White. So overall, nothing too crazy besides the Terrell Suggs deal. And getting Jordan Hicks is pretty good too. But I don't know if it's going to improve on them tremendously so that they will have a chance in the NFC West. But I think this is still a very big improvement from where they were last year. Now, obviously, a big issue right now for the Cardinals is still what are they going to do at the quarterback spot, because Josh Rosen, they already are saying that they want to trade him away because they are hoping to draft a quarterback this year. So, and again, this is also still before the draft. So this is a work in progress, it seems, for the Cardinals. So we have to see where it kind of goes. But in any case, week 1, they have the 49ers. I believe, based on how this team is now, I believe that they can at least split with the 49ers. I think 49ers are also one of those teams that improved from what they were last season with all their signings, but in the end, they still need to have some kind of results for me to work on. So for me right now, for the 49ers, it's very hard to predict where they're going to finalize in the standings. But for the Cardinals, I will be at least generous because I think that most of their wins are going to come off some upset division wins. So I think that they can do that. So I think they're going to split with the 49ers this year, but week 1, they're going to take the loss at home. Week 2, the Cardinals travel to the Bucs. I have them going to the Bucs. They will get the win there. Not sure where the Bucs are going. I think the Cardinals can win that one. Then they'll go to the Saints in the Superdome. That's a loss, unfortunately. Don't exactly know how they're going to win that one against that New Orleans team. And then they're going to go to Carolina, their NFC South rival. They'll actually not go to Carolina, but they come back to Arizona to face the Panthers. I think they have that one as a loss, too. I think the Panthers kind of improved a little bit. I think this is a game where the Panthers can at least win this one. Then week 5, the Cardinals face the Lions. I have them winning against this one. I think they can win against the Lions. Week 6 against Seattle, I actually do have them splitting with Seattle as well. I think the Cardinals and the Seahawks, for some reason, they have this really awkward rivalry where it seems like no matter what the record is, it seems that either team has a chance in this game. So I think because of that, the Cardinals can pull off the win in this one. It's going to be a close game between these two. But again, splitting them this season, it definitely isn't really a bad thing for them. So getting a win against Seattle, but then losing their second game. Now against the Rams, their next week, right after this, they face the Rams. I think the Rams will win both of these games. I think the Rams as a team haven't changed much. I think they want to stick with the same formula, and they got a couple good signings as well, along with their defense already. So I think because of that, the Rams can win both of those games. Week 8, the Cardinals face the Giants. They can win this one as well because the Giants really don't have a direction of where they're going, so it's very hard for me to determine how many wins they can even win this season. And then Week 9, the Cardinals will face the Ravens. I think this one is a loss. Their Ravens defense, despite losing Suggs to this team, is still going to be a good enough defense that they can shut down this Cardinals offense, which doesn't really have a direction right now without a quarterback. Week 10, they face the Browns. The Browns have improved tremendously this offseason. I think the Browns win this game, so that's a loss for them. Week 11 against the Seattle, second game with Seattle is a loss. Then in Week 12 against the 49ers, their second game against the 49ers is the win, so that one will get them a win. Then in Week 13, they will face the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them actually getting an upset win in this one. So I think the Cardinals can actually beat the Steelers. I don't know how, but I think giving them an upset for this season kind of is like a juicy pick. So week 13 against the Steelers, I think that they can win this one. I think their defense is kind of subpar. I think they're a little bit underrated, and I think they got really better even with the signing of Suggs and Hicks, because now that pairs them up with now Chandler Jones, who you still have as your best pass rusher. Maybe not the best defense in the season, but possibly kind of like that mid-tier defense. They're definitely not going to go into that low-tier defense where they were last season. Week 14 against the Falcons, then, I have them taking a loss. I think the Falcons kind of improved on the offense. This is a home game for them, but despite that, I think the Falcons' defense improved a little bit, and this is pre-draft still, so there's still, and the Falcons also still have a first-round draft pick as well in that kind of mid-round range. So I think the Falcons, if they improved a little bit on defense, I think their offense is going to be a lot better without Steve Sarkisian as the offensive coordinator now. So I think that they'll be able to at least get the win there. So then the Cardinals will face the Bengals and the Rams for the last two games. I have them winning against the Bengals, and I have them losing to the Rams for that second game in Week 16. So their overall record finalizes at a 7-9 record. So nothing too big, but it's still an improvement from where they were last season. Moving on to the LA Rams and their opponents for next season. Big changes that the Rams made this offseason. They got Clay Matthews from Green Bay, Eric Weddle from the Ravens, and they re-signed Dante Fowler. So their defense is getting two good weapons in Matthews and Weddle. I think that can really tremendously improve their run game defense, which really struggled last season. So those are some pretty good defensive upgrades. Now let's jump into the opponents. Their first week, I have them facing the Bears, their rematch from the game that there was last season, and where the Bears completely ousted them and their offense. I think the Rams will be able to find a way, since they know how the Bears operate now. I think they'll be able to find a way to win this game. This is nothing on the Bears. I think the Bears are still going to be a very, very good team next season. I think this is just the week one jitters for the Bears, and I think the Rams will be able to take advantage of this and get some revenge from what happened last season. Week 2, the Rams against the Browns. I think the Browns can win this game. I think I said this in the Browns schedule as well when we did the AFC North. I think the Browns can actually win this game, mainly because the Browns, that was even before free agency. Now, after free agency, I'm even more confident that they can get through this Rams defense, and I think this is just going to be an offensive shootout between these two teams, and I think the Browns will be able to win that game. Week 3 against the Cowboys. The Rams face the Cowboys. It is at Dallas. This is a win for them, I think, mainly because I don't think the Cowboys offense, I still need to see results for the Cowboys offense. They got some pretty good weapons coming to them this season with Jason Witten and getting Randall Cobb from the Green Bay Packers. So they got some pretty good weapons now with Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb, Jason Witten, and I'll even throw in Michael Gallup on the outside. So Michael Gallup is that deep guy threat. Jason Witten is a threat anywhere around the field, pretty much in the mid-ranges. And then you have Randall Cobb, who is a pretty good wide receiver when he was with Green Bay and with Aaron Rodgers. So I think they can use them effectively. This is going to be a good test for this Rams defense against this Cowboys team and see how the Cowboys operate. And at the same time, this is a good test for the Cowboys offense to see how they will operate against some pretty good defenses. In the end, though, I think the Rams will be able to win this game. Week 4 against the Saints, I have them losing this one. I think the Saints have a chip on their shoulder for coming into this game, so I think they'll be able to win that one. Week 6, the Rams face the Bengals. That's a win for them. Bengals are going to probably struggle this season. They're not going to be that great of a team, unfortunately, I don't think, this coming season, unless they wow me with something they do in the draft. Week 6, the Rams face the Falcons. I think that's a win for the Rams as well. Falcons, even though they're going to be improved on, even though this is going to be at Atlanta, I think the Falcons might have a hard time still trying to shoot out with other teams. If their defense doesn't improve coming into this season, they're not going to be able to win games as consistently. Week 7, the Rams face the 49ers in their NFC West matchup. I think they'll win both games, actually, against the 49ers. So I think Week 7, that will be a win for them as well. Week 8 against the Cardinals, I said in the Cardinals schedule they win against both games in the Cardinals. Week 9, then the Rams face the Steelers. I think the Steelers will actually be able to win this one. I know that the Cardinals will be able to win against the Steelers, but I think the Rams lose against the Steelers. because I think the Steelers can actually play a little bit better against these high-powered teams. Like we've seen this with the Steelers before. They win against good teams, and they seem to lose against some very bad teams usually during the season. And I think this is one of them. I think this is one of those things where the Steelers are going to lose to the Cardinals, but then win against the Rams. So it's kind of up and down sometimes for the Steelers organization like that. Then Week 10, the Rams face the Panthers. I have them winning that one as well. They'll be able to rebound after the Steelers loss. Then Week 11 against Seattle, I think they will win the first game. I have them splitting with Seattle, though. Win the first game at home in LA, and then lose at Seattle later on during the season. Week 12 against the Bucs, that's a win there. Week 13 against the 49ers, another win there. Week 14 against the Ravens, that's also a win. That's going to be a very close matchup because this is going to be a very, very good test for this Rams offense, and to see how they do against very good defensive teams like the Ravens. They're going to have that same test with the Bears in Week 1, I think, but if they are able to get through those defenses and high-powered defenses now, I think they'll be able to get the win on that one. Week 15 against Seattle, that is their loss. And then Week 16 versus the Cardinals, that's another win for them. So overall, the Rams will have a 12-4 record in the season. On to the Seattle Seahawks. For their season, they got some different moves. So they re-signed a couple of players. They re-signed some of their good players, some of their offensive linemen, and they also tagged Frank Clark, so that's pretty huge for them. That allows them to keep Frank Clark, their best pass rusher, so they have a good defensive weapon there. Then they also got Jason Myers, actually, from the New York Jets. He was pretty much one of the best kickers in the league. He's got the Pro Bowl because of that as well. So now the Seattle Seahawks pair Jason Myers up with a great kicker already with a great punter, Ed Dixon. So that's a great special teams duo. Can't wait to see that happen. And they also did get Mikey Iupati from the Arizona Cardinals. He's had some injury problems, but they might want to plug him into the offensive line just in case, or as a backup if they need him. So with that, the Seahawks will face the Philadelphia Eagles Week 1. I have them winning this one. I think Philly was going to come up to a tough start. They have to figure out what they want to do on offense. I think as soon as they do, I think Philly will be able to kind of progress a little bit more forward for the rest of the season. But for now, I think this one is a win for the Seattle Seahawks. And it's also a depending thing whether Carson Wentz will be healthy throughout the season too for Philadelphia. But Seattle Seahawks will win against Philadelphia in Week 1. Then Week 2, they face the 49ers for the first time. I think the 49ers will actually be able to get the win. I think they have them splitting their matchups. I think the 49ers are going to be able to get a win here in Week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're a good enough team so that they can get a upset win like that in the division. Then the Bengals, they face the Bengals at home in Seattle. I think that's a win for them as well. That's a pretty easy win there for the Seahawks. Week 4 against the Bucs, that's another win there. Week 5 against Pittsburgh, I think they do lose that one because it is at Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh will be able to get the win there and just be able to kind of throw Russell Wilson off his game. That's a place that Russell Wilson has not really been to most of his career, much of his career. So I think that because of that different environment, Pittsburgh can get the win there. Week 6 versus the Cardinals. I do have the Cardinals at least winning one of their games, so this one is the loss in that one. And then Week 7 against Atlanta, I think they lose that one too. I know I'm not really being generous right now with the Seahawks right now, but they do lose this one too because I think the Falcons, with their kind of improved offense now and with seeing where this offense might go, I think the Falcons can be able to pull off a victory here, and their offense can get through the Seahawks defense. Then Week 8 against Cleveland, I think Cleveland, again, this is going to be a big test for Cleveland, but I think that this one can be a win for them as well, just because of how much improved Cleveland is this season. I really think that they can pull off some of these big wins like that one. Then Week 9, Seattle will face Minnesota. This one I will give them the win, mainly because I think that they needed a rebound. They need a rebound win at this point because right now they're on a 4-game losing streak as I have them right now. And I think the way they rebound is against Minnesota when they come back home. Week 10 against the Rams, they do lose this one, but I have them winning in the reverse matchup, so it's not too bad. I do think that the Rams will lose against Seattle at least once. But this Week 10 game, I think the Rams will be able to win it. Week 11 against the Cardinals, that's a win for them since that's their second matchup. Then Week 12 against the Saints. Because this is in Seattle and this is a huge game that Russell Wilson can win, Russell Wilson has found a way to win against good teams at some moments. So I think this is one of them. I think the Saints will have a little bit of a struggle against the Seattle Seahawks, but in the end, I think the Seahawks can win this game with Russell Wilson doing a lot of that work and the defense stepping up in this game. Week 13 against the Panthers, I think the Seattle Seahawks win this one as well. I think the Panthers will make it close, but I think the Seahawks will be able to pull off the victory there. Then against the Ravens, I have them winning another one against the Ravens as well. I think Russell Wilson can do some damage against this Ravens defense. So the Ravens defense I don't think is going to be impenetrable next season, but I think that this one game the Seahawks will take control of. I think Russell Wilson will command the pace in this game and be able to get through the defense of the Ravens, and then their defense on the other side will be able to shut down the Ravens offense as well. Week 15 against the Rams, this is their reverse game, so that's the win for them. And then Week 16, this is the reverse game for the 49ers at home, and that one is the win for them as well. So they did go on a 4-game losing streak, but they ended it with a 6-game winning streak for the Seahawks. So that makes their record a 10-6 record, which will put them second in the NFC West. And we get to the 49ers as that is our last team. So the 49ers made a lot of changes in the offseason, and mainly defensive changes. So looking through the notes, they signed Tevin Coleman for 2 years. They tagged Robbie Gould, so that's good. They keep Robbie Gould there, keep the special teams going. They signed Dee Ford for 5 years, so they get a great pass rusher. They signed Quan Alexander for 4 years, so that's another great linebacker there. And then Jason Verrett for another year, try to get him on the field as a good cornerback. And then Jordan Matthews for a year on offense, so they get another wide receiver. So mainly defensive upgrades with Dee Ford and Quan Alexander, so that's good. So with these changes, I think that they will definitely improve next season, but we have to see where Jimmy Garoppolo will fit in here. So without further ado, let's go into the opponents for the 49ers. And we start with the Arizona Cardinals Week 1. As with the Cardinals' schedule, they do win this game. The 49ers do win this game. They will split the games with the Cardinals. They will also split the games with Seattle. So Week 1 against the Cardinals, that's a win. Week 2 versus Seattle, that's a win. So they get off to a hot start. But then Week 3, they have to go to New Orleans in the Superdome, so that is a loss, unfortunately, there. Week 4 against the Browns, I do have them losing because the Browns, I think, will be good enough to get the win there as well. Week 5 against the Redskins, I think that's where they can get the win there. The 49ers will come right back and get the win against the Redskins because they really need to figure out what they want to do with quarterback. I don't think Case Keenum's the answer for the quarterback spot. Week 6 against the Ravens, I think the 49ers can do a good enough damage to win against this Ravens team and be able to find a way to get through this Ravens defense. And I think because of the improved 49ers defense, I think the Ravens might have a different test against this 49ers defense and be kind of struggle in this game. So I think because of that, the 49ers will be able to get the win there. Then Week 7 against the Rams, unfortunately, I had them losing for both games against the Rams, so that's the loss. Week 8 against the Falcons, that is also another loss. I think the Falcons will be able to get the win there, mainly because I think they can get some offense going, and I think their defense could step up a little bit as well. Week 9, 49ers will take on Green Bay. They get the win there. Green Bay needs to show some kind of life on offense. I do need to see some kind of progress with this new offense that they have with their new head coach and see where Aaron Rodgers' game is at. Their defense, it looks like they're going to improve, but we need to see more results on offense. So for now, I have the 49ers winning that one. Week 10 against the Bucs. I'm sorry for Bucs fans, but Bucs are kind of the weak point of the league right now. So there's not much going for them, and I don't know where their offense is going to go. So the 49ers get a win there. Then against the Steelers, I have the 49ers getting the upset win there. Steelers, again, this might be another one of those losses where they lose against a bad team, and I think the 49ers can win that one. Week 12, the reverse game against the Cardinals, that's the loss. Then Week 13 versus the Rams again, that's another loss. So 2 more losses, unfortunately. But then they come back to Week 14 at home against the Panthers. I think they will be able to get the win there. Their defense will step up, and I think they will be able to get the win against the Panthers. Week 15 against the Bengals, that's a win for them as well. And then Week 16, the reverse game against Seattle, that's the loss. So Seattle will get that one back. So that ends their record at 9-7. So an improvement from last season because they didn't have Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously. But it is, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to get them into the playoffs. I do think that this team has potential, and I think it's on the rise. I think if they can just stay healthy, it will be beneficial for them. So with that, the NFC West, as with these predictions, will be the Rams on top with a 12-4 record, Seahawks second with 10-6, 49ers third at 9-7, and then the Cardinals last once again at 7-9. So basically the same thing as it was last year, but just with some different records for all of these teams. So that does it for our NFC West predictions. So this does it for this week's podcast as well. I'll see you in 2 weeks because next week I'm going to the conference in Las Vegas. So I'll be back in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, I think we're going to be doing some more predictions. I'm going to try to get a mock draft ready, though, because I think that might be the week before draft week, but I might also do a mock draft the week of draft week. So we'll see. But if not, do expect another season predictions video for the NFC North. I wanted to do the NFC North next week since I want to keep doing the NFC predictions. So with that, we hand the ball over to you. We hope you enjoyed this week's podcast, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.